Hello everyone! Now, this is probably random, but something has been on my mind for some time, and that is the termination of Utapri Shining Live. Ever since both the English and Japanese servers shut down, it's just honestly been sad. I remember the day it was announced, I was absolutely devastated. Literally, here's proof. Since its announcement and the actual day it shut down, the Utapri community definitely felt it. I became inactive in the community and pushed myself away from consuming Utapri content because honestly, I was just sad, upset, confused as to why they chose to do this. After doing research, Klab chose to shut down its servers most likely due to the cost of running the game. To be honest, the English servers weren't pulling much revenue compared to the Japanese version, and that's probably why they kept the Japanese servers open for another year before ultimately deciding to shut down. And on Twitter at the time, and not sure if this still holds up, but it was rumored they stopped funding Shining Live so that they could put funding into a new My Hero game. I'm not sure if that's still true, but it is true that right after they shut down the game, they made a My Hero game. Alright. Besides the reasons we lost such an amazing game, I'd like to also talk about the new Utapri rhythm game, Live Emotion. There are drastic differences between Shining Live and Live Emotion, and in all honesty, I'm not a big fan of the new game. It feels like a husk compared to Shining Live, and more like I'm playing another version of Ensemble Stars. Not to shame Ensemble Stars, because that game is actually really good and fun to play, but Live Emotion feels like it's trying to copy that same style. I have my gripes about Live Emotion, and I really do want to share my opinion about it and see what you guys think. So let's talk about the gameplay first. Now, I don't play Live Emotion super often. Honestly, it's kind of whenever I feel like it. Now, when the game first came out, the layout was obviously different, not completely, but there are varying differences. For example, Live Emotion has the circle buttons, but much smaller, with long lines that reach up almost to the top of the screen, which is what leads the notes. I find the lines to be a bit distracting, and to be honest, I haven't really played a rhythm game with lines leading to the buttons compared to Shining Lives, where there are no lines and the buttons are much bigger in size, and instead of them being split down the middle, it's all together. I find that much more appealing to the eyes because it feels more odd with it being split, and also the buttons being so small and the lines on the screen too. The button options are also fine. I don't exactly have a problem with them, although I really do miss those, sliding multi-notes we used to get in Shining Lives. Those were fun to slide. Unfortunately, Live Emotion doesn't have those. One thing I will say is the score bar and life bar are much better looking compared to Shining's, because Shining's kind of look like something out of a sci-fi video game or something. I don't know, that's kind of the vibe I got from that. Alright, so let's talk about the stage. Now, the background and stages between Shining and Emotion are completely different. Shining would show your team on a screen and stage with people in the audience with light sticks waving to the beat. Emotion would basically just be a background of a stage with no moving lights or even an audience, just a PNG of a stage, to be honest. It looks empty, and for this being the default, it's honestly not good. There also is another option where you can choose up to 7 card photos to add to a gallery that will transition in the background while you play. I will say this is a pretty cool feature, but if you don't have photos unlocked for your cards or have photos, or you just have photos you don't like, it's basically useless. I think Shining does a much better job at backgrounds, and you can witness your wonderful team. Every time you hit 50 notes, you get to see one of your card photos pop up on screen, which I think is pretty good motivation. And Emotion, on the other hand, doesn't exactly do that, and once in a while you either see your teammate's card or your card pop up in the corner of the screen, but that's pretty much it. Okay, moving on to scouts and cards. The scouts in Shining Live were very much lively, and the layout was a bit more compact, and what is even more surprising was the amount you'd spend to pull for these scouts. Back then it was only 300 prisms to pull for 10, and now it is 2,500 to pull for 10 in Emotion, which I think is absolutely ridiculous, but I already get that treatment from Project Sekai. In some scouts, they'd have you do steps. Basically, as you pay for pools, the price increases, while also your chances of getting a UR also increase. Emotion doesn't have that gacha system, and you basically pay in full for your pools every time. The layout of the scouts in Emotion are much more bigger and are similar to Project Sekai's scouts. I do like that layout and have gotten used to it over the years. Although I do prefer Shining's scout system because the way it was organized looked very nice and just the color scheme was pretty. Now, the cards, Shining Live's art style was very reminiscent of the anime style, and honestly, they all looked great. Although sometimes they'd forget that some of their characters have dark skin tones. Hashtag melanin for Utapri. You know, Otia, Ren, and Seshiru. Till the very last card that was made for Shining Live, they put a lot of effort in the art, which was nice. Although, Emotion had completely changed the art style, and it makes me low-key uncomfortable. The cards do look nice, but I'm just not used to the art style. To me, some of the art looks so clean, it almost feels soulless, but what's nice is they remembered that melanin exists. Overall, I think Shining did its art for its cards, and its scouts a lot better than Emotion. Okay, I'm just going on a tangent now, but look at the comparison between these two cards. The one on the left is from Emotion, the other is from Shining. As you can see, in Shining's, it's a lot more brighter, the colors are more saturated. It just looks so much warmer and shows more of Reiji's character. As you can see, he's wearing a full UK fit and everything. He's shopping at this store, while in the other photo, Reiji looks like he just got finished changing or something. He's getting out of his dressing room or something, and it looks not as saturated. It looks actually like less saturated and more just soulless. Like I said, it just feels like there's something missing. I think that's what I see from the comparing the two, at least. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that because it's just, you can tell. All right, so let's talk about what Live Emotion did different compared to Shining. And obviously that is that in this game we have fully rendered 3D model characters, and you can interact with them on the home screen, and also there can be multiple characters on screen that you can interact with, and they also interact with each other and can have full-on conversations. And also, you know, obviously we get fully animated music videos in the background, but it only does happen in certain songs. Not every song is fully animated or has a music video in the background. And then there is obviously one thing that is standalone compared to, you know, between Shining and Emotion, is that in Emotion, Heavens is included in the game finally, because, you know, so many people were begging for it in Shining, and obviously with the shutdown that is not going to happen, but we finally have Heavens. And, you know, they're added to the main story, and they have their own side stories that you can read and enjoy and everything, which is great. And also we get a bunch more songs because obviously Heavens is their own idol group, and we get more songs because of that. And also in the game there is a feature called Mini Pretty. I never really used this one before, and I didn't even know it was a thing actually, where you can have, you know, chibi versions of the characters and have like a room to decorate and everything, add furniture and etc. Really cool. And obviously we never had that in Shining, and I don't know if you guys remember, but we had something slightly similar. It was like an April Fool's event. I don't know if you guys remember, but I do. And I will say though, unfortunately, Emotion is currently only available in Japanese. Shining had its English version, but for Emotion it's still uncertain if there will be an English version. So far there hasn't been any news about it. Although it was announced that Shining Live will be ported to Nintendo Switch, but it'll only be used as an archive and like a storage area where you can look back at like stories, cards, you know, all that other stuff. And yeah, it won't be a fully fledged game, but you know, I think it's something to look forward to, because now you can look back at all those old stories you used to read and everything. I just think that's pretty good news to me. In my opinion, Shining Live is one of the best original Utapri rhythm games for its time, and if it were still around, I'd rather play Shining Live than a Live Emotion. Shining Live has this nostalgic, warm feeling that I'll never forget, and hearing in the English servers was genuinely a lot of fun, but also extremely time-consuming. I remember those long nights I'd stay up till 3 a.m. grinding for freaking Reiji whenever he had a campaign, so I can get, you know, his 3-crowned UR. Yeah, it was bad, but that was one of the reasons I loved Shining so much, is that their campaigns made you come back to play. Same can be said for Emotion, but Shining Live just hit differently. So that's going to be all for my commentary on Shining Live and Live Emotion. What do you guys think about Live Emotion? Please comment down below what you think. I'd love to hear about it. But anyways, that'll be all for this video. When I have time, I'll be sure to make more Utapri content, I promise you that. Thanks for watching, and bye.